Good
Good
morning.
morning. Hello, good morning. How are you? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling so good. Yeah, I had a rough few days last week, but I recovered really fast. So, and I'm still kind of just getting back to things, but I got ready today. I put on my
You look
makeup.
good. You look good.
I'm like, it's been so long. I was like, I hope I still remember how.
I don't wear a ton of makeup during the week, but then on Fridays, I've been trying to, that's when
Yeah.
the day that I go and I do all of my errands and get everything done. So that's the day I put makeup on. And every Friday, I'm like, what am I doing?
Friday's a good day to like have the makeup on.
Yeah.
And it's just so interesting, like being in this pandemic life,
Ugh.
because before it was like, yeah, we'd put on makeup because we would go out and be sociable,
Right?
and now that's just not a thing.
Yeah.
So our
It
motivation,
just,
I feel like my motivation is gone. I mean, I didn't have a lot of it to begin with, but yeah, so
it's so crazy. However, I will say that my son's baseball has started up. We went to practice on Saturday and then again yesterday, and we have it again tonight. So that has been, I know there's a lot of debate about whether they should do baseball this year, but it is so good to see him out there playing and having fun. And they do make sure that they distance, and that not
mhm.
everybody's just jammed in the dugout, and so they're definitely taking precautions. But it has been so good to see some sort of like life again, other
Yeah.
than when you go to Home Depot or Lowe's, because those places are like packed and nobody's social distancing and everybody's elbowing each other for flowers. But other than that,
I still haven't been to a store in like since this whole thing started.
no
So,
such
I
luck,
mean,
huh?
I want to. Like, I think I'm at the point now where I'm just like, I'm ready. I'm ready to go like be in stores and do things again. But at the same time, I'm like, but maybe not.
Yeah,
So,
I miss the business events that I
yes.
that I attend. I'm so glad we had the Silicon Slopes Summit before all of this went down, because that
Hmm.
is by far one of my favorite events every year. But there's like Aspire Her and the Mom Show and things like that we're missing out on, and I
Hmm.
know for me as well as you, because we cater to the mom and women demographic. um, like the mom show, that's a huge opportunity for us. Those
Yeah,
are big money making days.
they are.
So to not have those has been, it's been a little bit of a
Yeah.
struggle, but it has definitely pushed us to think outside of the box. And like I like how it's pushed and challenged my thinking,
Hmm.
to have to think outside of the box. And we just barely started this new push, but we're starting to see some good progress come in. So I'm really excited. And if this hadn't have happened, this isn't something that we would have done. So
Yeah.
so I'm excited.
Well, that's good. Yeah,
Yeah,
we actually still did the online version of the mom show.
yeah, we did. Yeah,
My
that we did that as well.
but
It's just not the same.
it's not. It's not at all. Everybody's so tired of being on the internet, and we're so tired of Zoom, and we're so tired of. It's just like let us have a freaking barbecue
Yep.
already.
Yep,
So,
virtual this and virtual that. And
mhm.
we did have a nice fire. So what, last week, me and my kids built a fire pit in the backyard and it turned out
Aw, fun.
beautiful. And so we had a big fire for the full moon last night. So that was
Aw,
that was fun. We roasted some
good.
hot dogs, and so that was really fun. By the way, what are you drinking?
So it is I tried to make a homemade mocha latte, I guess. I don't know. I just did like a French press,
Yes.
like super concentrated with milk and a little bit of vanilla creamer and then like 3 scoops of chocolate, which is way too much. I took a sip and I was like, whoa.
Oh,
So so yeah, that's what this is. And this is my cue. I love this mug so much because it's ceramic.
yeah.
But it's like a good to go cup and it keeps my hands
Keeps it
warm
warm,
too.
huh? Yeah.
Hmm.
I got
So
a Caribou. Oh man, I can't believe
it
it
does not
disappeared.
like just like hold it in front of your face.
Oh, there. Look how cute that mug is. It's my
Oh,
Volkswagen mug.
cute.
When I bought my Volkswagen Atlas, I told the sales guy, I'm like, the only way I'm going to buy this is if you give me that cup. So we're like,
Nice.
done.
Nice.
But I just
That's
have
way
a
cute.
caribou blend with a little bit of cream and cinnamon.
Yummy.
So it's kind of,
Yeah.
nothing too fancy, but anytime I put cinnamon in it, and I'm like, yes, I'm
So
so
fun.
fancy.
I like it. I need to remember to use cinnamon. I bet that would be good in this.
I do. It would. I use cinnamon all the time. It's such a great spice. And adds so much flavor to,
Mm-hmm.
when you have sweet stuff. But
You know what I'm
that's,
missing?
that's enough for another time.
I miss spicy coffee. I need to make one.
Yeah.
Like the spicy Mexican chocolate coffees.
Do you make it yourself or do you get it somewhere?
I usually get it, and I can't even remember what it's called. It's been so long, but they put cayenne pepper and
Yeah.
like dark chocolate. Oh, it's so good.
Huh?
Yeah, I'm not supposed to be having spicy foods right now, but I am craving them so bad. I love spicy food. And I'm like
Me too.
going through my freezer trying to figure out what to make for dinner, and this Cajun chicken just keeps calling to me, and I'm like, maybe we can try it.
It's so good. If you ask me, anything with the buffalo sauce is amazing. That is my go-to sauce for pretty much everything.
Nice.
I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So what do you want to talk about today? Do you have anything in mind?
Yeah, I just want to, I really, I like the idea of thinking outside of the box and being innovative.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to know what you're doing to follow that line, and how are you staying afloat? Because how we used to do it with like going and attending shows and things and chatting with people, it's not, it doesn't happen right now.
Yeah. Honestly, it's been kind of, I think I've been living in the stress bubble more than I should be. Like, when I stop to think about it, I start to consider, oh, okay, well, we're not doing, so before everything happened, like 30% of our sales were from in-store customers, which is a big chunk.
Yeah,
and
that's huge.
But kind of the unique thing that I think we have going for us is we've only had a retail space for like 2 years.
Yeah.
We've operated without one before. So we've got the e-commerce background and we've kind of got that presence. And I've really just been focusing on building up our website, improving the customer experience, trying to reduce our bounce rate and those kinds of things. And actually, I was going to tell you, I found a really cool app in the Shopify store. So you might want to check it out because, and for anybody who's watching that uses Shopify, I'm like, it's only been a couple days, so it's not like a huge thing, but I'm super stoked about it because one of the biggest hangups that I found with Shopify is whenever you install an app, it slows down your loading speed.
Yeah.
And it's a huge issue. And so I was always kind of just doing this balancing act between, okay, what can I keep? What do I need to get rid of? Because all of the apps that I've installed are really designed to help increase conversions, right? And if you take those away, then you're kind of sacrificing something, but you're not going to get the conversions if your web is loading, if your site's loading too slow. So
you literally have 3 seconds to get the attention and keep it. And if your site's not loaded and ready to go in 3 seconds, then your bounce rate's going to be astronomical and your conversions are going to suck anyways.
Yes. So I was doing some research. I used this cool little tool. I think it's called Speed Booster, where they'll analyze your site for free.
Yep.
And so
Yes,
and they give you a grade. And it's interesting because I've been using it for a few months and I check it. I think I just check it once a month. I can't remember how I have it set up, but like you can not make a change and then all of a sudden you're back to a D grade, you know, because I'm usually at a B. And so now I'm like, okay, what happened?
Yeah.
But
there's so many things that affect it.
Mm-hmm.
They're not always aesthetic changes, and it's kind of crazy the things that they take into accountability. After you finish, I'll tell you what I did and how it helped.
Cool.
Sorry.
Cool. So No, you're fine. So I was actually, what I did this week is I went through and did a complete code overhaul because there were a lot of uninstalled apps that were still sending requests to my website.
Oh,
And so that was slowing down my page loading and
yeah.
giving me a bad grade.
Yeah,
And
that'll
so
take your site time.
rather than reset my whole entire code and theme, because that would take forever, I actually went through each line of code looking for specific keywords for apps. And so I'm a speed reader, so it's easy for me to just look for those
Yeah.
keywords. And so I went through and did that. That sped me up a ton. But then I found this app called Vitals. Have you heard of it before?
It's called Vitals?
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So this is really cool because they basically created a really lightweight app that has 40 apps inside of it. And so I
How in
did
the
a
world is
test,
that lightweight?
right? So I did a test. I uninstalled all of the apps on my side that I currently had that were within this Vitals app. And I did an actual side-by-side test. And I
Yeah.
tested the speed with each one. It's so much faster. And
Okay.
they have like they have it broken down into like I think 5 different sections, and there's like where you can boost sales, improve the customer experience. They have all sorts of things, but my favorite thing that they did is a description tab. So one of the things
Oh,
I hate about Shopify is you've got like your picture and then
right.
it's like this long description, right? You want to get all the information in there, but you feel like you're giving people too much information, but if you don't put it, then there's not enough information. And so it's like this whole
Yep.
big thing. You can break it down into sections with little like drop downs. It's so
Oh,
cool. It is
yeah.
so cool. It has really cleaned up my website and I'm super
Awesome.
excited to see how it affects everything. But
Yeah.
yeah, and it loads super fast. So
Oh, good.
I'm
Good.
really excited about it. So that was my big thing that I did this week. But yeah, go ahead and tell me what you were gonna say.
So I did that same thing. I tested it on a few different sites because different testers test different things. And when I first did it, it was like it was a D. Like it was so bad on every single site tester. And I was like, what in the crap? So I actually called my developer over at Lightning Kite, and he's fantastic. So we just went through the site and we talked about all these different things. And he's like, Jamie, you have so many different fonts on your site that it's killing you, because if they're not web friendly fonts, then Google has to search for what those are, so that there's a lot going on there that Google has to decipher. And so it was really it was taking forever for Google to find those and load on my site, because for each line, for the different 3 lines that I have, I was using different fonts so that people could choose between all of those, right? Or decipher.
Yeah.
And then I had some images that were pretty big, and so I resized those, and I went from a hardcore ugly D all the way to an A. And so I was like, holy crap. And that,
That's
I mean, those
awesome.
weren't the only 2 things that I did, but those were the 2 big things, is going through and making sure that, you're not you can use different fonts. I don't want to say you can't use different fonts, but make sure they're web friendly fonts and not a bunch of like random, fonts that Google has to, or whatever browser you're using has to search for. That I could not believe how big of a difference that made. So there's your little golden nugget.
That's so funny.
Friendly font.
My biggest issue right now, the only one I haven't been able to figure out on my own, is the lazy loading. That is the only thing keeping me from an A. And I've got 14 images that need lazy loading. And I know that the scripts are in my code. I've seen them, but I just don't know how to utilize them. So that's me and Taylor were talking about it, and he's going to give it a shot where I can just pay somebody to do it. So that's kind of where we're at right now. But I really have enjoyed like learning about this stuff. And I know that there's probably not a lot of product people that watch our show, but if you guys do, like, Shopify is so incredible. I'm just going to say it again. Like, if you're ever going to start a products business, start with Shopify. Don't do anything else. Don't listen to anybody else. I don't care if it's cheaper. Just start there.
You're so funny, because that's where I started and hated it.
I think I told you. I
Yep.
did. I was like, don't do anything else. Just start with Shopify.
And so that's what I did, because I remember the moment that I called you, and then I came in and we sat down and had a conversation. And so I was like, yeah, okay, let's do it. And then I got in there, and there were all these things I knew I could do because I have a little bit of a site building background.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I know I can do this. And Shopify wouldn't let me do it. So I was getting super irritated. So I ended up going with somebody else who shall not be named. And I loved it. And so then I had one lady who, because I was so worried about my conversions, and I was like, they're so low and this and that and blah, 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 blah. Until this lady was like, it's what you're using for your website. It's absolutely horrible, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, you're wrong. And she wanted to charge me like $25,000 to redo my site in Shopify.
Whoa.
And I was like, I don't know if you just think that I'm stupid.
That's
I
a
don't know
lot
what
of
I'm doing.
money.
Or I just like, I was so blown away that she really like was pushing this, and she's like, I can cut it up into payments for you. And I'm like, I hope people don't fall for that, because that's not true at all whatsoever. Like, people who are shopping your site, they don't care what it's programmed in. All they want to know how quick the people literally want
They
to
want
know
it to
how
be
fast they can
functional.
check out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I did, after that, I called my developer and I was like, okay, Dad, we need to have a conversation. And he's like, no, she's just trying to get money from you. Cause I was like really worried. But then we went through the site and he's like, well, you need to do this and do that. And this will speed it up, and this will speed it up, and this will speed it up. And, you know, he was awesome and gave me all of these, tips and tricks. And, it was cool, cause I was able to go and do all of that myself. I mean, he could have, you know, he's great. He would have helped me out if I needed it. But so now I'm sitting at an A. I checked it the other day and I'm still there. So who knows? But you know, next week something will change and I'll have to go and revamp it. But I am still doing, because I'm so new, I am still doing a lot of A/B testing with with the site. So this new round, I had the video at the bottom of my website, and I've actually moved it to the top to see if that changed the conversion rate. So I don't know. We'll see. It's only been a couple days, so I'm not really sure how that's working out yet. And it's hard because I've seen ourselves just they kind of do this since COVID happened. Like, we were on a really great upward trajectory, and then COVID hit, and we've been really, really up and down. So it's so hard. It's so hard to tell right now. And you can't really go off your historical trending, because we are in such an unknown time that it is.
That's really funny, because that's like the first thing that I thought about this morning when I woke up. Like, it's so weird how these things just like pop into your head. And I was like, so May is usually a really good month for us. I wonder what it's going to look like. And it's just kind of like that thing. But I have an added layer of, not difficulty, but it's just interesting because we have the hand sanitizer sales that are skewing everything. This is not something that we normally do. And it has started to taper. No, it's tapered quite significantly. Like, we've slowed down, and over probably the last 2 weeks. So it's been a lot better as far as like the volume goes, but it's skewing our numbers, because I mean, I can look and see.
You got to take all those cells out of it to really know.
And I did, because I was so curious about last month, and because last month was like our first official month into it, right? And so I pulled out all the hand sanitizer sales, because I was like, oh man, Hippie Skin is suffering, and the only reason we're staying afloat is because of this. And it actually wasn't. Like, we actually had an increase in Hippie Skin sales too. And so now I'm like, okay, well, what is this month going to look like? What do I got to do? Do I need to start advertising again? Because I didn't advertise at all in March and April. And this is just the life of what we do. This is the constant.
It's always
changing, like,
always different.
It just feels like gambling, 100%. So, yeah. I did want to, I have it's not a sexism of the week, but it kind of is. So, and I hope that I want to paint this in a very nice light, because I'm a member of the chamber, and I absolutely love the chamber. I learn so much. I make so many connections. But there's something that I saw yesterday. So they do normally it's a networking breakfast, but
Right.
they've moved them online, and it's awesome because I can just log in and then put in my little earpiece and just listen while I'm like going about my morning. So that's one of the major benefits to this pandemic that I love. It's like you can just be doing your thing and also learning at the same time. And so they had this speaker come in. He is the VP of business development for a very large company. And I really enjoyed his presentation because it was all about sales, and that's why I got on there.
Yeah.
And but I started to get, and I don't know if it's just because I notice these things more because I think about them, but he kept showing pictures of his board or their development team in these meetings, and they were all men, all of them.
Ugh.
And granted, I don't really know what this company does. I'll be completely honest. It could be a construction company, so maybe that's fine, but so then I was just like, oh, but why are there no women?
Yeah.
And then
did you ask? I hope you asked.
No, because there were 70 people on the thing, on the Zoom, and the internet was already, I was just like, yeah, whatever, I'll just let it go. I don't even think they had a Q&A. They didn't. They just were like, we're done.
Yeah.
But, and I hesitate to bring this up, but it bothers me. In a sales presentation or in a business presentation, this is a business networking meeting. He talked about church, and he put a scripture in his presentation. And that was an immediate turnoff to me because I don't feel like if we're talking about business, and granted, I don't have a problem with religion. I don't practice myself. I practice yoga, and that's my spirituality. But I would never put a scripture into something. I would never take something from the Buddha and put it into a business presentation. I wouldn't feel comfortable with that. And it just, I have to kind of laugh about it because this is something that is wouldn't you say that it's kind of commonplace almost in Utah?
Yeah, very much.
Especially with the old timers.
Yep. Oh yeah, very, very much so. I am a very, pretty strong Christian. We are non-denominational, there's not one that we, whatever, but even at that, there's I just kind of feel like there's a time and a place, and you got to know your audience. And when you're doing that type of presentation, it's not somewhere where I would, I wouldn't put that. That's just
he kind of lost me, and he went on to talk about, and I felt like there was just this huge gap, and I was in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, Bethany, you're just being a millennial. You need to shut up, turn off the inner dialogue, because it was this whole thing about, in order to be successful, you should always be impeccably dressed. I don't believe that for a second.
No, I don't.
You need to be a member of the country club. Also don't believe that. Yeah, I'm not kidding. And you need to be a member of the chamber. That one I do agree with because I've made so many connections, and I think that was his point, was business is done at the country club. But yeah, maybe it was 40 years ago, but now I don't think that that's the case. I feel personally, yes, he was an older white gentleman. But in my case, I feel uncomfortable at country clubs. When I worked for insurance, we would have all of our district meetings at Oak Ridge Country Club, and I hated it. I hated it. I was just like, this is not my place. These are not my people.
Yeah.
And it made me really uncomfortable. And so it's kind of just interesting because, I don't think that we need those things. I think
we need the networking and to be out.
Yeah.
I know that I've done a lot of business on the golf course. But I've golfed for years.
But that's you. Yeah. That's a part of who you are and where you feel comfortable. Yeah. And I feel like he was telling us to go get on the golf course. And I'm like, I golf, but I don't
Yeah, right. Yeah. And and again, I mean, I have done a lot of business on the golf course, but that's not necessarily the first place I go
Yeah. It's
to
interesting.
conduct business, I guess.
And maybe I'm just like way off, and that's the difference between like the small time business and the big time business. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
that's just
don't
something
know
that
that
I'm missing.
I don't know that there is. For somebody to sit there and say, you have to do this, you have to do this, and you have to do this. It's opinion, I'm a firm believer that, sorry, I live right by the base and there is like
Yeah, those
SUV
jets
going
are
over my head right
they're,
now. So
they're going.
it's loud and obnoxious. I apologize. But I'm a firm believer, go into everything with an open mind. It's just getting louder.
We'll just take a moment and listen to our amazing jets.
Listen to the Air Force, gentlemen and women. We appreciate your service. Okay. But go into everything with an open mind. Listen to it all. Leave the bad, take the good. You know? Because I really do think that even if there's a speaker that you're like, no, we're never ever gonna see eye to eye on things, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But you can if you go into it with an open mind, you can usually find something good out of it.
Yeah, I like that.
So in Utah, obviously, the Mormon religion is very, very, very dominant. I don't participate in that, but I have a lot of friends that do. And so they'll post like on their Instagram stories and stuff, like different quotes from different people within that religion. And like most of the time I just kind of roll my eyes and scroll through or whatever. But there are some times where there are that just like hit home for me, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, that is so profound. But it's not always. But as long as I keep an open mind, I find that I can really find some good things from all different places.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that 100%. I think that it's really important to keep an open mind. And I think, I was learning a lot until we got to that point, and then I was just like, I feel really out of touch with this guy. And maybe that's what happened, is I tried to relate to him, and maybe I should have just taken it at face value and said, this is him, it's not me.
Yep.
It's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah. Interesting. All right. Well, we can go ahead and wrap up unless you've got something that you want to share from the week that just stuck out to you.
No, not. I mean, it was good. It was a good week. Things are definitely, I think, starting to look up, and so I think there's a huge awakening going on, and there's some crazy things going on, but I think that there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, for sure. I think that things are going to start to change, but maybe not in the way that we expect. And it's been I've noticed this like inner turmoil in me where I'm trying to, I miss having my sign out on the sidewalk. I miss being open and just having like that. And this new dynamic of, okay, well, we're going to think about doing a soft reopening where we just allow people to pick up orders. We're not going to have a retail space. And then maybe a few weeks from then we'll start with masks. But I mean, our makeup counter is gone. We can't do that. There's no way to keep it sanitary.
Yep. Yeah, there's not.
Even with all the precautions, so it kind of sucks because that was a big part of our thing, was custom color matching and the in-store experience and the spa parties and stuff like that. So those are all gone. And but yeah, and so I actually wanted to tell you too, like maybe we could consider possibly next week meeting back up in the studio. Keeping a nice distance from each other. I think we could.
I think that would
probably do that.
I think that would be fun.
Yeah,
I do.
So awesome. Okay, well let's tentatively plan on that then, and we'll go from there. And have an awesome week.
Thank you. You too. Don't forget to caffeinate
and hydrate. Bye.